Welcome to Giants Latest. It has been a very active free agency for the New York Giants. In fact, they have made more signings than I expected them to be. And what I really didn't expect was the fact that Darius Slayton is back with the Giants. Not only that, this man I think is loyal to a fault. God bless him. He took a pay cut to stay with the Giants. He was only making $6 million a year last year. Now he got rewarded. He signed a 3-year deal to stay with the Giants, making $36 million. And I think that ultimately this happened for quite a few reasons. I think one of the biggest things is that the Giants did not want to see veteran leadership walk out the door. On top of that, they felt like if Darius Slayton ended up leaving, they were going to have to replace him. Realistically, they were probably going to have to spend more money on a different free agent, veteran wide receiver instead of Darius Slayton. And look, Slayton knows the offense. He's well loved in the locker room. He is a great leader. He's respected amongst the organization. He was the Giants pick last year or this past year for Walter Payton Man of the Year. He's well regarded in the locker room. The players love him. And, he's been really helpful even to young guys like Malik Neighbors. And you can see it on film and you could see it during the games that he was pointing to Malik Neighbors and telling him where to line up. And this is the stuff that you want from the veterans in the locker room. So I'm glad that Darius Slayton is back. I do think it was a good move for the Giants on all sides. And I think that it's great for Darius Slayton that he gets to stay put with the Giants. And, for 5 out of 6 years, he's been the Giants' leading receiver. He has cleaned up the drops. He's improved over the years. And, his productivity took a little bit of a hit after Daniel Jones was released. But I do think with whatever quarterback the Giants bring in, we are going to see Slayton's productivity go right back up. And I think that he's going to have a great year with the Giants. So anyone who has been out on Jalin Hyatt, get on board with Darius Slayton, because he is going to take back all of those snaps that maybe would have gone to Jalin Hyatt. So I'm glad that Slayton is back, but he is not the only player who has signed with the Giants. We need to talk about their new defensive end who actually comes to the Giants from the Cowboys. And what I love about this is that Micah Parsons retweeted the notification about him signing with the Giants with a sad face and said, damn. So I'm thrilled about that. We got to take what we can get. We need some talent in this building. And if it's got to come from the Cowboys, then so be it. Next up, I would like them to take Mekhi Becton from the Eagles, okay? One from each team. We make our roster better. Maybe we will win a couple more football games this year. So they brought in Chauncey Golston for 3 years, $19.5 million. He has played with the Cowboys for the last few years. And overall, he has been a pretty good player for them. I believe I have some stats on him here. So he set career highs in 2024. He had 5.5 sacks and 37 pressures. So his best year was last year, and hopefully he can build upon that with the Giants, especially playing next to Dexter Lawrence. So I'm excited to see how this defensive line is really shaping up. We have talked about the fact that this Giants team not only needs depth, they need talent. So they brought in him, they brought in a defensive tackle, Roy Robertson Harris, on Monday, and they are really beefing up this defense. We always say defense wins championships. And look, after what happened last year with this Giants defense, they started off really strong and fell off. I feel like these moves are really showing that the Giants are focused on bolstering up that defense. Maybe we're going to see more from Shane Bowen this year from a defensive scheme perspective because we've got more talent in the building. Let's see if maybe he can impress us. We can only hope. But he is not the only defensive player that the Giants just signed, because they just made a big splash in free agency and signed former Dolphins safety Javon Holland. Now, I have to say I was surprised about this only because I didn't expect safety to be a big priority for the Giants in free agency. Although my free agency priorities are clearly not what the Giants' free agent priorities are. But I think Javon Holland is an excellent signing. He signed on for 3 years, $45 million. There are incentives there that can get him up to almost $47 million, and there's about $30 million guaranteed. In his career so far, he has had a 91.3 coverage grade, which is 5th among all safeties since 2021. So I think this was a good move. We talked about last year, I think a lot of our concerns were the fact that the secondary was so young. And now in 24 hours, Joe Shane has done a good job. of bringing in veterans to not only help the secondary, but to help the defensive line. And maybe, like I said, that is really going to help Shane Bowen's defense because his goal has been to focus on the front four and to get home with the front four. And like I said, they did a little bit last year, but the problem was they couldn't rely on the secondary to make any plays. And now you've got a new cornerback, Paulson Adebo. You've got a new safety, Javon Holland, who are not only going to bring better talent to this secondary, they're going to bring leadership and they're going to bring veteran experience, which is so desperately needed. When you look at the cornerbacks between Cordell Flott, Drew Phillips, and Tay Banks, who are all extremely young, still learning, still very much need to improve. And then you look at the safeties, Tyler Nubin, who's only in his second year coming off an injury, Jason Pinnock. These are the guys that are really hopefully going to thrive and learn from having a guy like Javon Holland on the team. So I think this was a great signing. Like I said, unexpected, but very important. We need this defense to make plays, and we need the whole defense, every single layer to make plays. And with the secondary getting some better talent, some improvement, some age and leadership is going to be so important. So then we can focus on the offense, which is the last piece to this puzzle. The question is, who is going to be the quarterback? What I find really interesting about this is that on Monday night, all the reports were it's basically done between the Steelers and Aaron Rodgers. And here we are. It's Tuesday afternoon. And it's silent. There's no update on whether or not, the last that I saw was this. It's between the Steelers and it's between the Giants for Aaron Rodgers. And when it comes to the Giants have said that they think that Malik Neighbors will do really well with Aaron Rodgers, which I have to say that I agree. I mean, listen, you look at Malik Neighbors, the guy had over 1,000 yards with Drew Lock, Tommy DeVito, Tim Boyle, and Daniel Jones. Imagine what he can do with Aaron Rodgers if they get a veteran right guard. Could have a hell of a year. But I'm really curious to see what happens with Rodgers. I think the Giants are obviously heavily involved because the fact that it went from last night, it's a done deal with the Steelers, to now, I don't know. The only concern, I still have a multitude of concerns with Aaron Rodgers. My biggest concern at this point is with the Giants. Are the Steelers driving up the price for Aaron Rodgers? Because at some point, the Giants have to look in the mirror and say, are we going to pay a 41-year-old bridge quarterback $40 million? I hope to God they aren't. So we'll find out soon enough. But I do think if it doesn't work out with Rodgers, they're going to pivot to Russ Wilson. And I think that Russ Wilson is still a good option for the Giants. Obviously, he's not as talented as Rodgers is, but he's younger. He's a little bit more mobile. He obviously has a lot of experience in learning new offenses. He had a great experience with the Giants last year. He was this close to signing with them. So I think that he's still very much in the running with the Giants. And I think that if it doesn't work out with Rodgers, I think that Wilson is going to be the next guy. The question is, if it's neither of those two, then what happens? Which we will cross that bridge when we get there. In the meantime, I think by Tuesday night, maybe early Wednesday morning at the latest, we will know who the Giants quarterback is going to be in 2025. Stay tuned because it's coming real soon.